Welcome to today's championship race, which is shaping up to be a real nail-biter. We have 10 turns to the left and 10 to the right here at the fantastic Circuit of the Americas. Overtaking opportunities into turn 1 and 12 at this anti-clockwise 3.6 mile track. And we should see average lap speeds of around 126 miles per hour. Joining us today to oversee all the thrills and spills, it's Anthony Davidson. And great to see you. How are you feeling about the race today, and how are the circuit conditions from what you've seen?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Albon, Charles Leclerc and Vettel, Perez, Ricciardo, Sainz and Lando Norris, Ocon, Raikkonen, Lance Stroll and Kvyat, Gasly, Giovinazzi, Kevin Magnussen and George Russell, Grosjean and Nicholas Latifi. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Here we are in the United States Grand Prix, revving up to 5 red lights. And it's lights out, and away we go. It's a Mercedes 1-2, but Max Verstappen gets off to a brilliant start. Overtakes Valtteri Bottas. He's on the back of Lewis Hamilton. He sends it down the inside. They make a bit of contact there. Verstappen gets squeezed. They're side by side. The two championship rivals. Hamilton right down the inside, holds it in front of Max Verstappen, but Max is still right behind him. We saw in qualifying the Red Bulls were nowhere near the Mercedes, almost 6/10 off, and that's a racing point going side by side. I think that's a Lance Stroll going side by side with Carlos Sainz, but anyways, back at the front, we can see Verstappen touches the grass there as he's chasing down Lewis Hamilton. He can't let him get away. Look at that through the S's, just how much Hamilton's pulled away. Verstappen still in second place. He's got Bottas right up behind him now. And then it's Albon behind Bottas. And followed by the Ferraris. It really seems clear which car is the quickest car this season after qualifying in this race. But Verstappen might be able to get a little bit more in this race than he did in quali, because in quali 6/10 off pole, that was not very good for him. But here we go, Max Verstappen on the back of Hamilton. He is actually catching him in the second sector. We know how good that Red Bull chassis is, and he's gone completely off track there. Not entirely sure what on earth he's done there, but either way, Max Verstappen holding second place and pulling away from Bottas. We see that Red Bull chassis is so good, but it seems Mercedes engine upgrades have really come in handy, because they have a ton of straight line speed, as well as some pretty incredible aerodynamics through the high speed stuff, and even through the medium speed stuff. They seem to be faster than the Red Bulls. But Max is really pushing hard. He wants to get Hamilton. He's actually keeping up with him, so that is very good for him, as he is pulling away from Bottas. Not exactly what I expected after 6/10 in qualifying. I know I keep bringing it up because it is a very big deal as Verstappen cuts the corner. That Max is trying to win the championship, and he's being out-qualified by 6/10, but I don't think it's really his fault, because he was still in front of his teammates. As Albon holds P4 in front of Vettel, then Leclerc, Ricciardo, who overtook Perez there. Perez started up in 7th place, so he's dropped a place there as he's coming under threat from Carlos Sainz there. Then it's Esteban Ocon, followed by Lance Stroll, and then Lando Norris, who we're going on board with down this straight. Going back to the front, we can see Vettel is much closer to Albon. We know how good the Ferrari is in a straight line. It just struggles so much in the corners. It is significantly worse than the Mercedes and Red Bull through the corners, but on the straights is actually better than both of them. It's a little bit better than the Merc, but it is much better than the Red Bulls on those straights. It's after the upgrades Honda made for Italy, doesn't seem like the Red Bull straight line speed has actually been that good, as Verstappen goes off track again. Surely that's got to be a couple warnings now, as Hamilton actually has got to say, he's gone off track again. What is Max doing? Does he have a problem? But either way, Hamilton's pulled a big gap on Max Verstappen as Bottas is running aground, it seems. Seems like he might be running a lower ride height than everybody else because he was the only one who had sparks on that straight. But either way, he's catching Verstappen, who's losing a ton of time to Lewis now. Not sure what's going on with Max. He's going off track everywhere. He's struggling to keep up with Lewis. And now it looks like Bottas is very much catching him at a high speed through these high-speed corners. But as I was saying before, it doesn't look like the Honda engine has really shown to really be able to match the Mercedes engine after their last upgrades, and they haven't actually upgraded that engine since then. As here comes Bottas, he's catching Verstappen. We can see through that hairpin, Verstappen takes a different line to pretty much everyone else. He goes a bit wider on entry to get a better exit, but either way, that better exit might not be enough, because now here comes Valtteri Bottas. He's pulling to the inside. Verstappen squeezes. Vettel's to the outside of Albon. Bottas is down the inside of Verstappen. He squeezes Max to the side, and he makes it work brilliantly. Just a very well executed overtake from Valtteri Bottas. We don't see that too much from him, so it's nice to see him go for those moves. As Verstappen nearly goes into the back of Bottas, he takes a different line to Valtteri through there, which is actually meaning his entrance into the corner is much quicker, but his exit is not going to be as good. Sorry, I meant his entry into the corner. As you can see, he's still holding it behind Bottas, but he is actually quite close, and he has been very quick through this final corner when he's not going completely off track, as Hamilton is pulling away from these guys. But now Bottas and Verstappen going for it. Verstappen goes to the outside, switches to the inside, down the inside, goes Max Verstappen. Bottas locks up. Max Verstappen makes the move up into second place. Brilliant overtake. Sebastian Vettel still in front of Alex Albon, followed by Charles Leclerc. Now, on board with Max here, we are following him as Bottas again has caught up through the S's, and through this corner here we can see Verstappen taking that different line. He's losing a lot of time on entry, but he's getting good exits, but it's not enough because Mercedes has DRS, and look at that, he's going defensive. They're both going to the edge of the track. Bottas looking to the outside this time. Verstappen learned his lesson. Can't allow Bottas down the inside. Verstappen's down the inside. They're side by side on board with Hamilton there. Then Bottas is back down the inside. Round the outside goes Max Verstappen. Can he hold this? Bottas gets in front. Verstappen gets in front. They're still side by side. Verstappen squeezes Bottas. Takes it down the inside. Bottas tries to switch back. Not quite. He's going to go for it. To the outside. It doesn't look like he's able to do it. He's actually lost a bit of time there. So, incredible battle between these two. Could watch an incredible battle for P2 today, as Vettel is catching them quite quickly. You could see on that straight, as is Ricciardo actually. He's got some stunning pace today, as P7 looks all but secure in that championship. And he's actually somewhat close to Albon. I wouldn't say he's really in striking distance, but he's pretty close. It's Kimi Räikkönen right behind the McLaren of Lando Norris there. Pretty impressive stuff. As down in last place is Antonio Giovinazzi. It looks like he might have made a pit stop, or he might have been spun, because he is way down the field. Anyways, back on board with Hamilton there. We saw his lead is absolutely massive. He's already pulled, what, like 4 or 5 seconds, and it's only lap 3. It's incredible the speed he's got. As Verstappen was battling Bottas, but also look at that, just in general, Hamilton is pulling away so much. As Max comes into the corner where he's taking that different line. It's very interesting to watch him. Watch him drive in this battle against Bottas. Here comes Valtteri. Where is he gonna go? Inside or outside? He's got the DRS. Is he even gonna be able to make a move? Verstappen goes defensive. Valtteri's gonna go to the outside. Who's gonna be latest on the brakes? Verstappen's late on the brakes. He's gonna hold the inside. Bottas goes for that switch back as Max went a little bit wide under braking. Verstappen's down the inside. He holds him off. Yeah, we saw on the previous lap. We saw on lap 2, Bottas tried going down the inside, and he successfully made it work. Then, in the next lap, Verstappen knew what Bottas was going to do, so Verstappen defended to the inside, and that meant he was able to keep the position. And once again, he had to defend to the inside. That Honda straight line speed is just not working out too well. I think the Red Bull might also have a lot of drag this weekend to keep it that quick in the corners. It's incredible how fast these Mercedes are at this stage of the season. They're so good at upgrading their car over the season. As now this battle between Verstappen and Bottas. Oh, on the front wing cam, we see Bottas nearly goes into the back of Verstappen. We can also see these different lines Verstappen is taking through these hairpins. We can see just he doesn't like to take the traditional geometric line. He's just going a bit wider on entry to get those better exits, which seems to be able to keep him in front of the Mercedes. But it also means he's losing a lot of time on corner entry. But as I was saying, Mercedes just so fast at this stage of the season. I can't imagine how Verstappen could really win the championship at this point. They're just both Mercedes have been incredibly fast. As Valtteri Bottas goes down the inside of Max Verstappen. Now we're watching a replay of how Bottas was able to make that work. He's really far back, and he just finds that gap. What a interesting overtake from Valtteri Bottas there. He gets squeezed very aggressively by Verstappen as we are now back live with this race. We can see he's getting squeezed. Verstappen's behind him. The camera can't even keep up. Verstappen's having a look down the inside. Look at that, down the inside. Max Verstappen squeezes him. Sebastian Vettel comes back at him. Incredible racing for second place there. Yeah, we saw again that this lack of speed Verstappen has on corner entry meant that Bottas, despite being so far back, just broke so late and was able to carry so much speed through the corner. That Mercedes is really quick now. Those upgrades have just made this car into an absolute rocket ship. And Max's wider entry meant that Bottas actually found a small gap. As here comes into the pits Valtteri Bottas, as does Max Verstappen. And we saw the Red Bull crew, actually, despite them being in the Red Bull pit crew, have struggled this year, and Verstappen's lost places in the pits before. Who is going to win this battle between Mercedes and Red Bull in the pits? It's Red Bull. This time out, Red Bull beat Mercedes in the pits as Charles Leclerc is the one to pit. It's not Vettel, it's Leclerc who comes into the pits with, I believe, Daniel Ricciardo is actually doing a great job keeping up with these top runners because of how much Bottas and Verstappen are battling in this race. It is incredible to watch those two go toe-to-toe as Hamilton decided to take the overcut because he's so far in front, he's not battling anyone. It just made more sense to pit Bottas and let him resume his battle with Verstappen, as if Verstappen got an undercut, it is possible he would have gained perhaps over a second on Bottas, which would have been very difficult for Bottas to come back with. That straight just looks beautiful as Hamilton just has a massive gap over everyone at the moment. He's absolutely dominating this race. Here we are on board with the McLaren of, I think, Lando Norris. Oh, what a move! Down the inside goes Lando Norris. What an incredible overtake on Lance Stroll. He's gonna make it work. Just about. Stroll comes back at him. What a move from both of them. What a stunning overtake from Lando Norris, though. And that's been spun by Max Verstappen. Contact as now we watch the replay. Verstappen sent it down the inside of the hairpin. He's going right around the outside, and there goes Kvyat. He's just spun around by Max Verstappen. Not too sure who's at fault there. They are under investigation from the stewards. To me, it looked like a 50-50 incident, as Kvyat did have a lot of space on his inside not to go into Verstappen, but at the same time, Max did turn quite aggressively as Bottas is stuck behind Magnussen there. That's just allowing Verstappen to pull away here. It's allowing Verstappen to just get that gap on Bottas here. It looks like the undercut might have actually screwed Bottas over more than it's helped him, as out of the pits comes Sebastian Vettel. And Albon, though. Albon had to pretty much come to a stop there to avoid going into Bottas. Bottas gave no space to Alex. But Vettel has jumped Bottas. That traffic has really screwed him over. And it seems to be screwing Leclerc over now. But yeah, Max just didn't want to deal with the traffic, it seemed. He just sent it down the inside of Kvyat, then around the outside, and it just led to Kvyat getting spun around as Verstappen now is on the back of Kimi Räikkönen. Looks like he might get Kimi on this straight, as he is pretty close, but that Ferrari power is that Ferrari power unit is very, very strong. I don't think it's going to be strong enough to hold off Max Verstappen, who's coming at Kimi. He's sending it down the inside of Kimi. Kimi squeezing him very tight. Kimi Räikkönen is actually holding it with Verstappen. Is it going to be a repeat of the Kvyat incident? Almost. Verstappen's around the outside. Back down the inside. Kimi goes very wide. He's going to try and get a better exit. Kimi Räikkönen going to the outside of Max Verstappen. Would you believe it? Kimi Räikkönen. Wow, what incredible driving after winning the 2018 Grand Prix and having a pretty lackluster 2019 race. Actually, we overtook Max Verstappen there, as it looked like Max's exit was just so bad off the double left-hander, and that is Lewis Hamilton in the lead by an absolute mile. What's interesting to see is that Bottas is no longer on the podium. It looks like Verstappen will have an easy P2 in this race, as Bottas is stuck behind Sebastian Vettel, as Charles Leclerc is on the back of Alex Albon, as Ricciardo has lost a bit of time, but he's still trying to keep up with them, as Perez seems to be in kind of his own world here, as Ocon has made up a couple places from where he started, as this battle between Norris and Stroll has literally been going on since lap 1. It's a battle we haven't really been able to keep up with, but now we can finally watch it, as that is Pierre Gasly. Saw the battling between Norris and Stroll. It's incredible to watch them battle it out, as two cars that are similar in pace. But either way, here comes Charles Leclerc on Alex Albon, round the outside. He's already in front come the braking zone. That Ferrari is so quick in a straight line. We thought the Mercedes was fast in a straight line. The Ferraris are even better. We saw Verstappen had slipstream and DRS and couldn't overtake Kimi until the braking zone. Whereas when Leclerc has those two things, he flies past Albon. It's incredible the pace that Ferrari's got in a straight line. It just shows how much they're losing in the corners. But in terms of race pace, I think they actually have some pretty decent race pace compared to their qualifying pace, which was, I think, almost a second off the Mercedes. And although they aren't really that fast in this race, we can see Vettel is actually still beating Bottas. So that has to be mentioned, as we are on board with Sebastian Vettel, I believe. No, it is Charles Leclerc, as Albon's behind him. And he's got Daniel Ricciardo behind him. Behind Albon. And now we see Hamilton in that beautiful black Mercedes just pulling away. I believe he has like a 12 or 13 second gap over Verstappen now, who does look like he's being hunted down by Vettel. Looks like Vettel's closer than he was last lap. Verstappen's race pace hasn't been great. Vettel's race pace has been staggering, as Alex Albon has been caught up by Danny Ric in the Renault, because Danny Ric is on softs. Sorry, not softs, mediums. Albon is on hards, and that's allowed the yellow Renault to catch up to the Red Bull. Danny Ric doing a great job in this race. He could very well take a P6 in this race. What a driver. He is so quick. As now that battle between Ocon, Stroll, and Norris seems to be going on. Looks like Ocon might have lost some pace. I'm not too sure why Ocon was battling them, but either way, it's very, very interesting to watch. You can see Hamilton still in the lead by absolute miles in that wonderful black Mercedes. That is Valtteri Bottas catching up to Vettel, but he's not catching as quickly as I think we might have thought. Either way, Danny Ric on the back of Albon. Can he make this overtake on the next straight? Albon gets a pretty good exit out the corner, but we know that Honda hasn't been great. We know Renault has had a decent engine this year, especially with the upgrades around at the mid-season point. Here comes Danny Ric. He goes to the outside instead of the inside. Who's going to be later on the brakes? Albon defends very nicely. That looks like Albon locked up. Ricciardo's on the inside. Down the inside goes Danny Ric. And he's made it work. Danny Ricciardo has just overtaken Alex Albon. As Ocon's on hard, that's why he's so slow. That's why Stroll was able to catch up to... I'm not sure what tire Stroll is on. It looks like he's on the mediums. But I can't quite tell. The reflections are quite strong on this track. Ocon is struggling for pace massively, as a Renault is battling a Racing Point, which is battling a McLaren. This is an epic midfield battle, as the top runners seem to have kind of separated themselves after that first stint and the pit stops. Now we are on board with Ocon here. Is he going to get overtaken on the straight? He's going defensive on the inside. Not too sure why he's done that, but either way, he moves back to the outside. Stroll's catching up a lot through that corner, through turn 1. As they fly downhill through turn 2, you can see Norris is just sitting there waiting for another opportunity to overtake either one of them. Perhaps they can collide and Norris will pass both of them. And Ricciardo is pulling from Albon. This is like Australia all over again. Those Red Bulls are struggling for race pace. I get it, he's on the hards, but at the same time, the race pace has just been atrocious for the Red Bulls. The tire wear, everything. They've just been really off the pace. And something I have just noticed now, I do believe Valtteri Bottas is out of the race. As now either way, Ocon actually is holding Stroll back. We know how good that Renault is in a straight line, but either way, that is a massive blow for Bottas if he is out of this race. Because I believe I saw Vettel and then Leclerc, and Bottas was between them. And that would be a massive blow for Valtteri Bottas, who I believe was gonna... I'm not sure if he would have taken the lead of the championship, but he was battling for Verstappen and he was fighting for that championship, and now that's a huge blow to his championship. A massive blow to his championship, as Hamilton and Verstappen are going to gain massive points on Bottas, as they're both running 1 and 2. This is the worst scenario for Bottas looking for his first Formula 1 World Championship. And Ocon is still holding Stroll back. Yes, that is Sergio Perez pulling away from these guys. Ocon, not sure why he's gone into the hards, because we saw how fast Ricciardo was on the mediums. Renault seems to have made a strategic mistake there, and it screwed over Ocon, but now it looks like Stroll's a bit closer this lap. Ocon's not going to have DRS. Stroll is. He's going to use that Mercedes engine, the one that had the recent upgrades, although I'm not sure if Racing Point actually have the new engine yet. And it doesn't seem like they do, because Stroll can't catch Ocon on this straight. That Renault is incredibly slippery in a straight line. That Renault power unit, after the summer break, has just been incredibly fast. It's been stupidly fast. Now we see Carlos Sainz is behind a Haas. I have no idea why he's so far back. I have no idea what's happened to him. But he's behind Kevin Magnussen, and it's an absolute embarrassment for Sainz, who was actually in front of Norris at the start of this race. I think that's Daniel Kvyat. Yes, it is, after his spin. And of course, Kvyat hadn't pit yet, so that spin cost him so much time. He's now behind a Williams. This is absolutely crazy. As Ricciardo is battling Albon. This is getting interesting between those two, as again Stroll so close behind, Norris so close, they just can't overtake Ocon. Incredible defending from Ocon, but also look at the speed of that Renault. It's incredibly fast. It's even able to battle a Red Bull, although it has to be said, look at just how much Albon has improved over this season. We saw in the start of the season when he was on the hards, he was like half a second off Ricciardo was able to do on the mediums, and now, despite being on the hards, he's actually able to keep up with Ricciardo somewhat well. I don't think he's faster than him, but he is still keeping up with him. We know how good that Renault is in a straight line. I don't think he's going to catch Ricciardo on this straight, and it doesn't look like he will. He is going to the outside. He has actually caught him. Ricciardo's going defensive. That's going to give Albon the better line through the next corner. It's not enough. The hards don't provide enough grip for him, as Stroll is closer than he was last lap, but he just can't make it work. Ricciardo defending very hard from Albon. This is a very interesting battle. In terms of the championship battle, it looks like Bottas' championship might very well be over. Either way, on the final lap of the race, Danny Rick looks like he's just about gonna hold Albon off to take a stunning P5 in the United States Grand Prix, but it doesn't matter because Lewis Hamilton wins this race, followed by Max Verstappen, and then Sebastian Vettel taking a very nice 3rd place.
That's a spectacular victory then, and with it, the championship is secure. It's been a magnificent season, and they thoroughly deserve the cheers of the crowd here today. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions, and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today, and the results speak for themselves.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. After an incredible performance, Lewis Hamilton secures the top spot in the Drivers' Championship. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day? It's another clear win for Mercedes as they managed to secure the Constructors' title. An incredible performance for the whole team. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.
So as we see a 14-second gap between Hamilton and Verstappen, a dominant drive from Hamilton, fastest lap of the race, started first, finished first, incredible drive from Lewis, and despite Bottas retiring from this race, Mercedes actually win the Constructors' Championship over Red Bull because Albon hasn't exactly been that quick, although the Red Bull car I don't think really should have been competing for this championship, and Max is just driving incredibly well this season, but either way, was a very interesting race, has to be said. And join us on the next one.